finger spray. All right.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I wasn't gonna do a car talk / intro for this trip, but there's literally nothing on the radio. I stopped listening to the radio a long time ago. I was listening to SoundCloud, and I just wear out the same songs on YouTube, so I was like, screw it, I'll just talk. What are we doing? We're going further south. So I've been saying that I wanted to expand my range here, surf fishing. So I'm gonna go further south. I'm gonna go to Dog Beach in Ocean Beach. So I like the inlet there. There's some piers, not piers. Well, there is a pier further south that's been condemned. There's some jetties there that I'll cast around. This is a place where I went and looking for grunion a few weekends ago, and we got grunion. I just like this beach from a terrain perspective. There's a lot of stuff going on that could make it a good spot, and I haven't fished here before, and I made a commitment to try new spots this season, so here I am, following up on my commitment. I'm just gonna start with a Carolina rig using the 2-inch gulp sandworms. It's kind of my fish finding rig, and if I get a little action on that, I may do some of that tackle testing that I was talking about. I'm not sure about this whole domitic, whatever acid that they're talking about. It's like red tide, I guess. I don't think it's as scary as the news wants you to believe, because the news wants you to believe that that's worse than urban runoff, which we all know it's not. And the news also wants you to believe that that's what's killing the sea lions, but the sea lions are way overpopulated, so that's what's killing them off. The most undermanaged animal on the face of the planet, the California sea lion. We've already talked about that, but that's a different podcast. So I am going to, this is a full bore effort to try to catch fish, and weather's beautiful. The water is cooler, so the water's like 2-3 degrees cooler than normal, and so that's, I don't know, second of the lane from the right. I don't think that's huge impact to surf fishing, but this whole acid thing could be, I guess. They say, I heard on the radio show this morning, hasn't been much action down in San Diego because they'll push the fish offshore more, the ones that normally in. But with the way that these jetties kind of protect this area, I don't know, maybe if I find a pocket where it doesn't have this acid, which again, I don't know if it's really as big deal as they make it out to be, maybe we'll catch some fish. And I got some more tackle to test, but I don't want to waste it, so to speak, if it's if it's not good fishing. But we'll see how it goes. I brought my 6-pound setup, and then I brought a little bit heavier setup just in case I want to drift some grunion through the inlet there. So the tide is going to be coming in until right about almost exactly at sunset, which I like that. I haven't fished a high tide at sunset. I think this would be my first time this season, so I like that. And we'll see. I don't even care if I just catch a bunch of perch or whatever, but I am trying to get to other places that I haven't fished yet. I don't know if they charge for parking here or not. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. A lot of places I fish, I'd say like half of the places I fish, you gotta pay for parking. So not a big deal. Yeah, so the grunion rig, I have like you can call it like a modified stinger. So it's like a stinger rig, but it just has an sliding egg sinker on that first hook, because I just don't think you need the heavy sinker on the traditional halibut rig that those traditional halibut rigs are made for, where you fish in just a little bit more shallow. And just, if there's not enough weight, I'll just add more. But I don't plan on starting doing that anyway. That's gonna be a bit more of a
1 mile, turn left to merge onto I-5 south.
That's gonna be a bit more of an experiment if I don't catch it, the Carolina. Really, what I really want to do is get a good report for this tackle testing stuff that I'm doing. That's goal number one. And sometimes when you have like 5 plans, none of them work out. But if you have one plan, you just stick to it, it works out. So it's like a 45-minute ride, so I'm gonna bring 2 poles anyway in case one breaks or gets jammed up with sand or whatever. No matter how hard I try, I get sand and salt in my surf fishing reels. And so if I'm gonna drive this far, it's just nice to have a backup. Even if I don't use the grunion, the halibut rig, the grunion, the way that I have it rigged up, if I wanted to, I can use that as just a regular surf rod. I can step down the leader size on it because it's got like 20-pound braid. If I really wanted to, I could just cut all the mono off of it, put like a floral leader, and just make like a Carolina rig out of that. Pretty much as light as I want. That's the cool thing about having braid, is it's really thin. For its strength, it's much thinner than mono, and you can just use that leader. You can make that leader almost whatever size you want within reason, within a range. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm gonna try. I don't, and we'll see what happens. See you on the beach. Okay, so that was pretty much horrible. Nothing but seaweed. I'm gonna try to make a move to the pier. It's a long walk. Just to see if there's no seaweed.
Find out.
Yeah, they're not cooperating today for me.
No,
So
I don't know. They might just have their phone on
silent.
Yeah. So
I appreciate the intel, because this is the first time I've ever tried this beach. I usually don't come down this far south.
the rocks, the tide is pretty. They don't like the sandy water because it gets in their teeth.
Okay. Yeah.
The gills is actually.
Yeah.
But I watched the guy on the other side. He was using live bait, and he was using. I don't know what kind of shrimp it is, but it's about as big as your finger. Maybe.
Maybe a ghost shrimp.
Yeah, but it was bright red and really hairy. It wasn't like thick, sometimes shrimp have really thick legs and feelers and crap. This thing was really hairy, but it was alive. And I watched him pull out a dozen, and I watched his buddy pull out about 8 or 9, all on the same bait. Now,
see, I need to get some ghost shrimp. That's what I need to do.
Well, it depends where you are. Each place has got a different situation. But I would say if you've got some scent on it, you probably, it's too small.
Yeah, I mean, I catch perch and yellowfin croaker with this. I was testing some tackle earlier, but I kept getting caught in seaweed.
Where?
I mean, kind of everywhere. It's just been a seaweed type of day.
You can see that we had a huge storm about 4 days ago, and the entire beach. Take a look up there.
Oh yeah.
It's covered in seaweed. The
Yeah.
sand covers it, but the seaweed is still there.
Yeah.
So I would say that just change your hook. But you want to be out. You see where the kid is on the rock?
Yeah.
You want to be out just past there. See where it's breaking?
Yeah, I like this box. It's got all these sand crabs right here. And
yeah,
I usually
the birds come here to eat them.
Yeah.
The fish come here to eat them.
Yeah, the only other time I came down to this beach was a couple weeks ago.
Where was the tide?
It was right after high tide. It was right after grunion. I wasn't fishing. I just got some grunion and went home.
I would say that you want to get out as far out as you can. You got waders on, so
yeah.
I would say that I'd wade out and cast out a good long ways and pull in and see what happens.
Yeah. Well,
the other side, it's slightly different. When the tide's out, you'll see the beach curves like this.
Yeah.
And there's a depression. When the tide's out here, see where those guys are?
Yeah.
Tide goes out that far.
Okay.
And this always has water. This spot right here.
Okay.
Even if it's dry over there, this one. So there's a good sized pool. So when you walk out in your waders, don't expect that it's all going to be the same.
Well, I appreciate the intel. Thank you. Okay. Cut bait. So that's it. Wasn't much to say about this session. There was just a lot of seaweed in the water. 5 surf perch was a result of yesterday's efforts over 3 hours. So not very good, and most of the fish came in within this last dish effort right before sunset. So remember, kill something, drag it back to your cave, and eat it. See ya.